Hello and welcome to this art lesson provided by Arts for All Nevada and Washoe County School Districts. Today we're going to do a painting of a tree, and we are going to investigate the different sorts of shapes we can make with the branches overlapping, and then we're going to use light and dark blues to give different values to fill in the spaces in between. Materials that you will need is a piece of watercolour paper. It does need to be watercolour paper, otherwise the pens don't work particularly well. Water-based black marker and a different colour. I'm using blue, but you can use whatever colour you want. Paper towel, a paintbrush and some water. The artist that we're going to look at today is Pierre Mondrian, and this is his picture, The Grey Tree, which was done in 1911. He was a Dutch artist who started his life drawing very realistic paintings, particularly interested in trees. As his career developed and he moved to different cities and different countries and got in contact with different artists, he became very interested in the ideas of abstract art. Abstract art is when there is no recognisable subject or objects within the picture. He eventually settled in New York and produced paintings that were basically really strong squares, rectangle shapes with black lines, and the basic colours were yellow, red and blue with white backgrounds. You can investigate those by looking them up on the internet. This is an example that's sort of midway through his career. You can see his interest in trees, but as you can tell, it's not a realistic version. It's not just as you would see it. He's started to play around with the way that they overlap and make different shapes in between this. The reason I've chosen this is basically just in values, and values is talking about light and dark. So you've got the dark lines of the trees with these different greys, light and dark greys filling the space in between. Even though it's just basically blacks and whites and greys, it's still got a lot of interest in it. And we're going to use the ideas of just changing a colour with light and dark to give interest to our piece of work today. The book that I've got you to read you is called Tree. And we can see the owl in the middle of this tree. So the tree itself will change as we read through the book. In the forest all is still, gripped by winter's icy chill. Owl sits watching in this tree, no one sees as much as he. Snow is melting all around, shoots are peeping through the ground. In the trees young bear cubs play, spring cannot be far away. Blossoms fall and leaves are growing, a gentle springtime breeze is blowing. Squirrels scamper here and there, playful fox cubs sniff the air. Birds flit through the leafy boughs, the forest is abloom with flowers. Birds are singing, foxes play, summertime is on its way. Now summer's here, the sun is high, bees are humming in the sky. Juicy apples ripe and sweet, almost ready for you to eat. On a warm midsummer's night, all the stars are shining bright. The trees sway gently to and fro, shimmering in the moonlight glow. Now it's cooler all around, apples tumble to the ground. Grass is damp with morning dew, clouds drift across the skies of blue. Autumn leaves turn red and gold, days are warm and nights are grow cold. Food is gathered and stored away, ready for a winter's day. The cold north wind begins to blow, animals shiver, it starts to snow. Time to shelter, find a bed, prepare for winter months ahead. The forest floor is snowy white, in his owl sits tight. Deep midwinter's here once more, wise owl has seen it all before. It's silent now, no sounds are heard, no, not a fox cub, not a bird. The trees are still, the snow lies deep, all the forest has gone to sleep. The seasons have all come and gone, snow has fallen, sun has shone. Owls see the first new buds appear, and so begins another year. So the tree on this page is full of leaves and animals and lots of life in it. Our tree is going to be a little bit more like our winter tree, with just the branches showing and none of the leaves. So that's the sort of tree that we're going to do today. So words that we're going to use are value, tints and shades. So value is talking about light and dark within a painting. So we can use our pencil to go very light and gradually put more pressure on it and go really dark. So that's talking about our light and dark. And we use that within a picture to make things stand out, to have contrast. So this picture is just in values, and we can see the face is a lot lighter than the background out around it, and that will make that stand out. You can also talk about values within colours, and when we start talking about that, we start talking about tints and shades. So tints is where you have a colour. I'm going to stick with my blue, and we get a tint by adding white to my colour to make it lighter, and then I can even add more white to it and make it lighter still. So those are all tints of the colour blue. Shades is going darker, so there's our blue again, and then we add black to it, and then I can add more. So it's just like when we're doing with our colours and we're mixing our colours, add a little bit at a time, otherwise you'll get a really big colour change. So this is our tints where we add white to a colour, and this is our shades where we add black to a colour and it gets darker. So we're going to use both within our piece today. So you will need your watercolour paper. As I said, you do need watercolour paper for this. The paper I've tried, it doesn't work quite so well. We're going to start with our tree. We're just using a water-based black marker. So I'm going to start with 2 lines, 2 railway tracks in the middle, which is our tree trunk, and I'm going to colour it in. And then I'm just going to start making V shapes. So this is a thick V shape because my branches are still quite thick. And then they're going to go a little bit smaller, a little bit smaller again. Just start thinking about splitting your branch into V shapes. And cover the whole of the paper. We're going to think about our tree really growing right to the edge, make different shapes. I'm using quite straight lines for mine. Maybe you want to make your branches a little bit more curved, but I'm looking to create different shapes where they overlap. It's a big old tree. As I said, it's a winter tree. We're not worrying about doing leaves on it. Maybe that's another thing you can do at another time. Maybe you can do a spring tree or a summer tree. Don't worry too much. Don't think too much about where they need to be. Just go right to the edge of the paper. Right, we can think about the ground here. Maybe you're going to put some roots in it. And I'm going to do a line for my ground, just like Mondrian did. And I want to put a little bit, I want to have a grey colour at the bottom. So I'm just going to put some grey, some black, but space it out so there's a bit of space in between it. And then we're going to start with our blue. If your pen doesn't work too well, it's not a problem. It won't work particularly well on this watercolour paper. You can press down a bit harder with it to make it darker. You can space it out a little bit to make the colour a little bit different. I like the blue because obviously it reminded me of the sky, but also it's quite a cool colour, so it makes me think of more winter things. So vary if you press down hard or light, maybe whether you're going to have just some of them. I might even just leave plain white. I'm just going to fill up the whole of my piece of paper, the background, the piece behind my tree, with blues. Press down a bit harder in that, get that a little bit darker. As you can see, I'm not being very careful. I'm not making it really covering everything. It's a little bit scribbly. That's absolutely fine for what we're doing today. I think we're okay. Maybe we'll go a little bit darker there. Okay, so what you will need now is some paper towel and a paintbrush and some water, and all you're going to do is you're going to work over these and actually turn it into paint, and you can see that the black will bleed into it, so you won't have such a hard line, but it also makes some darker blues. You can really mix it together. Maybe you're just going to take the grey and make that a grey one. Because there's less blue here, this should be lighter. And you're just going to go over all the spaces. Wash your brush in between so that you actually get some different shades of your colour. Go over the whole thing. That's got a lot more blue in it, so it's a bit darker. I'm going to do over the whole thing here, see how it's bleeding through. You're going to go over the whole piece. I'm using quite a lot of water on my brush. We'll get puddles in it, that's fine. Paper towels, you can scrunch it up and you can just press it and actually take off some colour so that it actually will be lighter there. So we can get a tint of our colour. You can use that in certain areas. You decide where you want to put it. Just work your way around. Go over the whole thing. The more you put on it, the more the colours will mix. So depending if you want quite a blurry tree, maybe make it look like it's in the middle of a storm, or if you want one standing still on a cool night. Depends on what sort of effect you want. I'm going to take some off there. Go all the way around. I like to make sure that I've got all the white paper, so there's no just plain white paper coming through, because otherwise that tends to attract your attention and stand out a little bit. Dark over here, so let's make it a little bit lighter. And then I'm also going to go over the ground here, which will give us a different value, a slightly lighter grey. You should still see the roots of the tree showing through. You can even go over your tree. If you want to, I'm quite happy with that sort of blurred effect, but if you want to make the branches stand out a little bit more, just wait until it dries and then you can work with the pen back over the top. You can even add some more water on it if that's something that you want to do. It will take quite a lot of time to dry because it's got quite a lot of water, so just put it to the side and wait for it to dry, and then you can decide what you're going to do next. When you finish that, as I said, you might want to do a tree with leaves on it with a different time, so you can try using the same technique and just use lots of different colours in it and think about the light and dark colours you can do. Also, what I did was I went and found some magazines and I chose to do grey, and I got different shades, values of grey, and I put them in order from light to dark, and I just glued them on a piece of paper. And then I actually put a window frame around it. I used tape, or you could use black paper, pens, so it looks like a landscape going through. It's just trying to give the idea of distance using colours in it. So that's something else you might want to try and do. All right, thank you for joining me today. Enjoy your mixing colours to make light and dark values, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.